Greetings, everybody. Kevin here from the WPMA, and welcome to the next edition of our podcast called Shop Talk. And today we have Adam Marsh with us from Ledge Incorporated. He's going to be talking to us about AI. And hey, we have a really exciting new partnership brewing in the WPMA with Adam and his team, and we cannot wait to hear more about it. But let me introduce you to Adam. Adam, say hi to everybody in the WPMA family here.
Great to meet you guys, and I really appreciate the kind intro. Thank you, Kevin. We're excited to be a part of it.
Super. Hey, tell us a little bit about your story. You know, this is obviously we're all seeing this whole thing like emerge before our very eyes. We are in a technical revolution right now. And you are one of the guys right now who's like leading the way in this. And you're the guy who's dipping his toe into this and going on. Tell us the story of how Ledge started, where it started with you, and get us up to speed and let's know a little bit about Adam.
Sure. Yeah. So really appreciate it. I'm an industrial engineer. I'm a Penn State guy. And I spent my whole youth working in manufacturing with my old man, who was really focused on quality management system consulting. So if you ever see a company says they're ISO 9001, helping companies to get that. Came out of school and was able to work with him and spend some time in data analytics at a couple companies and really was able to build our business on quality and manufacturing consulting, helping companies sort of as that industrial engineer for hire. You want to know how it's made, we'll help you figure that out, do it in an optimum, quick, fast way. Our team, and I've done that as sort of a computer and tools-based guy. So systems, how do we build these systems to help your company? My background has allowed me to figure out and speak manufacturing. And when AI kind of came out about 3 years ago, those language models started hitting. We really started playing with them and using them for our business. Companies started asking us, "How are you using it? Can you show us?" And as we did that, we were able to develop our own platform, get it out in the market, and say, "Yeah, we can solve these problems. These are problems I've wanted to solve for a really long time, and I've used Microsoft tools and things like that to do that. But now we can solve them better, faster, smarter, and deploy them right into a manufacturer using AI." And so we were able to do that. Over the past 2 years, I really just started building out those solutions, videoing them and putting them up online. And that has generated so much traction. I think I gave 70 talks last year on
Wow.
AI at colleges, at conferences, at your, really great annual conference. That was a great opportunity. And it's just been a really cool way to grow a new division for our company, but solve problems from an engineering, not from an IT standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, and say, okay, we understand your manufacturing issue, and let's use AI to solve it.
Wow. And so, you know, obviously there were some case studies that
Yep.
started to come along the way, right? There's times when you're kind of just getting started and you had that epiphany. You had that moment and you went, "Whoa, this is good." Can you tell us one of those? Can you share a story with us about where it just like blew up and you went, "Whoa, wait a minute here. This is amazing."
Yeah. The first one that really hit strong was on contract review. And primarily, I was working with a defense contractor that gets a contract that might be 200 pages long. And he's got to compare that to his internal system and say, can we even do this? And so we got to a point of like, this is almost impossible that you can't get in front of this. You're going to miss stuff. And so using AI as a companion with their sales and their business development guys to say, can we actually do this? What are we missing? Give them some confidence there. So that's where we really started. But then we saw it helping with image analysis and I think you and I or I talked about it at the event where I'm just a terrible welder. And I started taking pictures of my welds and using AI to help coach me through them. And so once I saw the really strength there and the strength of it helping me solve problems in my own life at my own home, I said, boy, how can I deploy this to my clients? We really started getting into some big math problems that it can solve now. It couldn't solve even a year ago. We've spoken about how we solved inventory locations. I recently worked with a manufacturer. We helped to analyze where in their shop they should put their 26,000 items in inventory. They've got 26,000 items. We had to identify the right location, the optimum location for that. In a previous job, that would have been a $150,000 project. We used AI and we can do that in about 10 hours now. Those kind of
Wow.
things couldn't happen. We didn't have the compute years ago. We can do that now.
That's an incredible story. And so when you think about this in terms of the conversations you've had with the WPMA, where do you feel like some of the, like if there was use, areas of use, where do you feel like the low hanging fruit is?
The first tool that we build for most people is always around a knowledge base. And that's most companies have this big set of data and we want to be able to extract from it, communicate with it. And that could be production data, that could be work instructions, that could be maintenance data or maintenance and equipment information and put that at your guys' fingertips. So as they're working in the shop, they can pull it. That's always the first one. But I really see opportunities for optimization. And this is an industry that doesn't kind of have the tools that, maybe in sheet metal fab, they're going to optimize maybe a cut on a sheet so we make sure we're using the entire sheet. That
Mhm.
might be a little harder because the tools haven't really been built and deployed within your world. And so AI is really apt to do that. One of the first ones I built was on plywood analysis. And
Mhm.
looking, for folks who are making flooring, you might be able to look from job one and job two and kind of optimize, are we using the most amount of that plywood? But what if I could look at the next 10, the next 20 jobs and optimize that? If you could get 3 to 5% more yield from the same plywood or lumber that you're buying today, would you care about that? I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy to think about, the even the financial impact of that kind of information at your fingertips.
At your fingertips, the tools being there where they can deploy them and say, okay, and then really customize to you. This isn't,
Mhm.
this is the first time we've had a platform that you can immediately change it, customize it to exactly what you do, to the equipment that you have, teach it about that, and it can start producing results versus having to pay an IT guy or a programmer to come in and design a whole suite of software just for you. You can customize it and change it, ask those questions, ask follow-up questions. It's pretty amazing.
Is that similar to what, in other words, what I'm hearing you say is like it's kind of a little bit of the onboarding process of working with Ledge. It's,
Yes.
these
Yeah.
are like, what are some of those steps look like? What's that look like for the average guy out there?
So, the first thing we do is help set people up with a tool, right? A tool that they're confident that they have security around. So that way they make sure what they're putting in AI tools isn't teaching these models, is keeping their data safe, and they make sure everybody in the company has access to it. They want their team to be able to use tools because they're probably using it if you don't give them something. They're probably using it behind your back. And so you want to give them that tool. Then we teach them about how to use that. It's not just chat. AI is not just another chatbot or a glorified search engine. So it's teaching them how to use that, how to turn on the tools. And then we always build that first one or two tools for them as just part of that to say, hey, let's build your first one or two to really get you grounded and understand that. We see people use it for a month or two. We want to see that month or two of them using it. And then then we come back in and say, all right, now that you've used it, where do you think you can do this? We work through a whole game plan, build that hit list of here's AI tools we need, and then start knocking them out.
So
Um,
there's almost like a progression of epiphanies that occur. We get into the basic use. We
yep,
understand, we put all the key things. And you said something really powerful there, about the fact that people are using things, on the low, which may
yep,
not be a good thing,
yep,
and can be detrimental in a lot of ways. I'll let you get under that in a minute. But it sounds like to me, it's like it's the introductory level that allows these kind of creative epiphanies to take place
yep.
in terms of other use studies, applications, opportunities within the organization to expand it and to really make it a even more powerful tool.
Think of this crawl, walk, run. Most people haven't even started to crawl yet. Their people are using it, they're thinking about it, but they don't know where to go from there. So we really start with get them a tool, get them a policy that says, hey, folks, here's what you're allowed to use. When you're using our data, here's what you're allowed to use. And then we start helping them to walk. Okay, let's build that first tool or two and get people thinking. It's amazing. We see a 6 month window. And at month six, months 5 to 6, we just see the usage because I can watch the usage on our tools to see not what people are doing, but how many sort of credits they're using. The usage just goes even, boom, then they use it. And you just see it as, oh my gosh, I understand it. And now I'm going to use it every day. And I can tell you, I mean, I'm a great example of somebody who, didn't use it. And now it's every day I'm in it constantly. Hours a day has to be. And finding the right tool for that has really been important.
Now, there's a real important piece of this here that I think it's really, especially from an entry level standpoint. And we joked about this earlier because we called AI the wild, wild west. All
Yeah,
right. And so, it's that whole important element of the technical on ramp that gets everybody knowing, hey, this is how we play with this particular, or maybe more, let's put this, the boundaries in terms of how we leverage this particular tool.
yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Because that raised kind of the hair on the back of my neck, what little I got stood up a little bit when you said that, because I was like, wow, I have a lot of clients that are, you could have anybody in a company dabbling with this stuff, and it could
Yeah.
be dangerous in a lot of ways, right?
Dangerous. I mean, you may be teaching a tool, you may be putting your customers' information at risk, your accounting information at risk. You have to put some guardrails up for your people. And that's not to say that they can't use their standard ChatGPT to make an image when they're doing some marketing information. We're fine with that. But when they're doing things with sensitive info or they're doing things with your data, we need to give them a place to work in an environment that doesn't learn. But we really found, and I'm careful with this because so many people say, okay, I'll just buy a business version of ChatGPT. That assumes ChatGPT is going to be the winner here. I want to give you more than just chat. I find ChatGPT to be fine. I use it, but that doesn't mean it's the right tool for every application. Think about it. We ChatGPT might be the hammer. Not everything's the nail here. And so
Wow.
there's times that I want to use Gemini because I find it better to be, good at data analytics. I want to use Claude because it's a really great writer. And so there are times when we use different tools. And so we try to provide you tools that have access to all of the most recent models. So that way you're using the right tool at the right time.
That's huge. I think, and I think that if anything, I would assume that most people really don't know what the dangers are.
Yeah.
I think this question I want to ask though, because this now I'm kind of digging into this a little bit. When it comes to the future of AI, in terms of the WPMA, what do we need to be watching for, and what do we need to watch out for?
Okay. So watching for is these models are getting better. I used to say by the month, and now it's by the week. It's pretty amazing to see the changes. So your people are using it whether you want them to or not. So you better give them a tool. And if you don't dive in, your competitors are going to be using this. And so our take is it's moving so quickly that you need to get in and use the stuff that exists now because this is going to be a tool that will take over operating systems that you will
Mhm.
communicate with, and work is going to be different years from now. That doesn't mean that the labor that you're putting in is different. It's the back end work. So think about the real struggles for most manufacturers. Most, and I would very much suspect that the WPMA members are like this. They're really good at making their product. They're probably not very good at paperwork. They're probably not good at the systems side of this. So that's where AI is going to be a huge boost to them, but they need to start looking for where they can deploy that. The thing they have to think about is their data and what that looks like because AI results are only as good as the data that you feed it. And so if you don't have that information now, it's time to build sort of those systems and those tools that can start collecting it or entering it and capture that information so you can take advantage of these tools as they move forward.
That's powerful. And you know what? I feel like too with Ledge, I get a partner and someone who's keeping me up to speed on what to watch for,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Or even what to watch out for, because it's just that constant reminder. And often we don't think about that technical partnership and how vital that is, especially with new technologies
It
and how they're used.
I mean, it's moving so quickly that I would say sometime around Thanksgiving, Gemini updated their model, and it was groundbreaking. We were all like, "Oh my gosh, what a change!" I don't think that was a huge change for most users, though. I think it was a change for a guy like me who's kind of on the like high end of this and really trying to push the tools to break them. Look, 2 weeks later, ChatGPT kind of met it, and it's
Uh,
amazing to see these guys and these companies just getting better and better and better and how quickly they're doing that. So you have to have somebody who's staying in front of that to understand, hey, it can do this now, right?
mhm.
Here's the new thing that it can do. That doesn't mean we don't use some of the old models. It's actually really interesting. As I built some tools over the past week, I'm using older models because they're really inexpensive to run. And so this is a little meta actually when you think about this. I use AI tools to help me optimize the perfect AI tool to use as I build AI tools. And so I'll say, okay, what's the right tool I should use in this application that I can default to that my users will, make sure they're getting good, consistent answers, but it's with enough speed and accuracy and the least amount of credit usage, so we can optimize around that and we find the right tool for that.
Yeah.
And so it's been really fun to kind of push that boundary and say, you know what, it's a pretty simple one. We can go use an older tool that's faster, or that gives good results that doesn't take so many credits or cost as much.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So you're speaking to the WPMA here. There are three things in 2026 they need to be focusing on. What, from an AI perspective, what can't they take their eyes off of? And hey, if you're watching this, you better stick around because this is going to be good. So, what are those three things, Adam?
Number one is developing your internal knowledge base is going to be critical. So this is where, when you look at half of the industry is likely retiring within the next 10 years, you have to find a way to tease that information out and get it into a place that AI can see it, because AI is going to be the bridge between the generation that's retiring and the new generation that's coming in. This is how we collect data now and turn it into something we can use. Think about how your systems, I mean, Kevin, think about every manufacturer and their mess of files that they think somebody's going to go be able to find something on. It's not going to work.
Wow.
So instead, how do we use AI to manage that? That is number one. That really has to be that first use case on, let's build out our knowledge tool. And if we don't have it now, let's start collecting it so we can feed it into a tool. And think of 5 years down the road, if you've taught a tool all this information, what that tool is worth to you. I mean, it's invaluable. After that, I really want you to look at, where are your folks doing things that are non-value added that your customer requires. They still have to do it, but it's not adding value. This is things like simple data entry, order entry. How much time are your people spending doing order entry? That is a pretty consistent thing, and maybe we can automate that. When that email comes in with that purchase order and those items on it, let's automate that, have AI look at it and push it right into your system. There are things like that that we can take out of people's hands and let people do the things that they're good at, not entering data. So I would say that's the second one. And then third is being open-minded as to what this can do, being very creative. We're having really good luck. And your folks that do some CNC work, it's coming where these tools can help you game plan and build your G code to cut parts. That's
Wow.
coming. And we're testing it now with some pretty good results. And so looking at what's coming, understanding that if I don't understand the simple tools now, I don't do that crawl and walk, I'm not gonna be able to run a year from now. And my competitors are gonna be.
Wow. That's incredible. And so when you work with a client, then you're assessing those three things. You're
Yep.
going in, you're going full on. That's really key to that relationship with you and your team to come in and just unpack all that stuff, find, discover, and build out what are the steps that we need to take to get there.
Yeah.
That's kind of
No,
what that's what I'm hearing.
100%. And we're also training their team to be able to do this. So as we deploy tools, the best part about this is it's very simple to build and it's very simple to iterate. So once you start getting the hang of that, your team's going to be able to do it, right? You're going to have one or two guys. That's a great place for younger staff, by the way, especially if you're getting young
Yeah,
folks.
no
How
doubt.
do you, yeah, how do you get them, interested and loving exactly what they're doing? Well, let them use AI and let them learn these systems and develop these tools. Hey, you want to talk a system that's really quick to check? Guess what? I can run it, and if I don't like the results, I make an adjustment and run it again. We've never had software that's this easy to do quality work on and to iterate with.
That's powerful. And I didn't even think about that from a next gen standpoint.
Yeah.
It's really an entry point for
Oh,
a whole nother generation
and
to really come in and make an impact.
they're probably great at AI, FYI, because they just wrote every paper with it for the last 3 years. I mean, realistically. So let's be honest. Let's use them for that and
Yeah.
let them kind of use those tools. They can come in and add immediate value. Historically, you bring an engineer in, how quickly are they going to add value? Maybe 2 years down the road. This is something they can hit right away.
Wow.
So like kind of turn them loose. Use them as your maybe AI champion within the business. They'll learn the business this way, and you can have them building some of these tools.
So Adam, so I'm out there, I'm watching this, all the lights are going off. and I go, I got to talk to Adam.
Yeah.
So how do we go about doing that? How do we go about getting a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you? How do we follow you? I'm sure they're going to put in the show notes all
Yeah.
of the contact information and stuff, but what's the best way to get
So my
started?
email's amarsh@ledgeinc.com, and I'm sure that'll go out with the notes. That's the best way to do it. Make sure you reference WPMA. We have special discounts for members. That's a great application. If you follow me, it's Adam Marsh. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I am consistently posting about our sort of notes on AI, or any new tools that I build. I always do a video and I show you. I think it's the best way to
I've
plant
been
seeds.
on it,
Okay.
and there's a lot of good stuff there. So
Appreciate
there's
it.
a lot, there's some sweet stuff there. I was like getting into it, and you do a great job with that. And that, and it really is. If you're watching this and you're kind of wanting to know more, go to the LinkedIn page because
Yeah,
your posts are terrific
I
and
appreciate it.
helpful.
And we come at this from a very real perspective. I'm not a AI sales guy. I'm a showing you tools and and then I want to come help you solve problems. So
Okay.
it's a little bit different approach to most of this. And it's something that I can tell you, it's been a long time since I've been this excited about being able to deploy tools to manufacturers and solve these problems so quickly. It's really fun to do.
Well, and it's something powerful when you can take something that's seemingly really complex and make it practical and tactical and
Practical is the
value.
key. Yeah, there's too many folks who say, watch out, AI's taking over. I am not that guy. I am the guy that says, hey, there's really things that can add value to you right now. With the tools that exist today, let's go use those.
I love it. I love it. Adam, it was great having you on the show today. And thank you for your time. And again, everybody reach out to this guy because you don't want to be left behind for sure. And hey, everybody, thanks again for being with us. We'll see you next time on Shop Talk. Take care.
Thank you, Jeff.